Hello, my name's Stuart, Golden Middle Distance Races, and we're going to do something a bit different today. We're going all the way back to 1954. As I promised, we're going to go and look at some of the older historical races back to the Bannister era in the 50s. We've got, obviously Roger Bannister broke the 4-minute mile. John Landy shortly afterwards broke his record, running 3 minutes 58 dead. And we had them facing each other in the British Empire Games, Vancouver, 7th of August 1954. So this is like the Co versus Ovett from the 50s. So let's go back and have a look at this historical race.
The question is today,
I'll just
whether Bannister's tremendous finishing kick in the last
I do
corner
recommend, of course, after
can
you've
offset the
watched
blistering pace
this,
that Landy
you go and
likes
watch
to
the
set.
race and listen to all the commentary and everything.
Get it,
It's
Bailey of New Zealand, who will
actually very, very impressive commentary as well. I'm sorry you have to listen to me, but obviously it's my channel. So yeah, we've got Landy here in
Bailey of
4th
New
place,
Zealand is still the #1 man.
and we've got Bannister
They're
behind
down the
him.
backstretch.
So going into this race, Bannister was known for his ferocious kick, and Landy was the faster man because obviously he'd broken his world record, and his strategy was that he was going to try and make it a fast race and try and neutralize Bannister's kick. So I do like the cameras in this. The cameras follow them around the track very, very, very well. You get many angles. You can see Bannister there moving into 2nd place. Landy's got 6-7 meters yards in those days, of course. I believe they're running on a cinder track, which obviously that was the surface before synthetic surfaces like tartan arrived. So obviously the times they were running in those days, I guess that on modern tracks they would have been much faster. Just to say, I don't know too much about Landy, or whether he was a full-time professional, or I know that Bannister was a medical student at Cambridge University, and to all extents and purposes he was just a part-time athlete. So when you think about Co-Ovett and Cram and all the others who were essentially full-time, and you consider that Bannister is just something he was doing in his part-time, he wasn't devoting all his days to running. He had a degree to get, and he became a notable professor at Cambridge University. Did some important research. He was quite a remarkable fellow, and incredibly talented, that on the kind of training he did, that he got to this level and broke the 4-minute mile. So I'm just giving you the splits. I know that the first 440 was 58.6, then Landy went through in 158, 880 yards, and at the 3/4 it was 258.7. So 58.6, then really he ran a couple of 60-second laps, which is pretty good running, pretty fairly even paced. I mean, even today, a 4-minute mile is no mean feat. So going back to those days with the spikes that they had, and so let's they're going to be going into the last lap. Bannister has really closed that gap down. Landy maybe gambled and expended excess energy on that first lap. He's got no slipstreaming, of course, and he's running it all on his own, which makes it harder. So going down the back straight, Bannister's closed him right down. He's eliminated that 10-yard gap, and he's got him down to just a yard. And when this kind of thing happens, the guy, when a runner comes back from that kind of deficit, you tend to think that he's going to win. So going into the home straight now, Landy looks over his shoulder. It's too late. Do you see that? He looked over his shoulder. Bannister went past him. Incredible burst of speed. He's opened up 4 or 5 meters there, and he goes through the tape and characteristically collapses into the arms of his trainer. I think he's absolutely, I mean, we don't really see that happening in modern races, do we? Carry him.
Lived up to its billing. Both runners.
I'm not really seeing anybody collapse like that.
It really was a miracle. miracle,
that
Mom.
is actually carrying him. I think he's recovered now. Okay, so we're going to have a listen to these interviews. Very interesting. Let's listen to the interview.
About the fastest you've ever run? Have you ever run that fast in competition before?
No, that's the fastest time I've ever done.
You find, Doctor, that running in competition you will get a faster time or a slower time than
Yes.
on time trials?
Oh, always. Always it's faster to run against an opponent. It's only that in England it's not easy to come across an opponent who can do a 2:57 3/4 mile as John Landy did today. And there's no doubt that my great respect for him as an athlete, one of the greatest milers in the world, made me bring the very most out of myself. He's a very great runner. A privilege for me to run in that race.
How do you feel about this, John? Do you feel that maybe you paced yourself a bit too quickly in the preceding laps?
No, I had no alternative. I had nobody to help me. I tried to run a lone wolf race. If I couldn't shake Roger off, I had to lose, and when I looked round on the final back straight and he was still with me, well, I knew it was curtains. But I think that it was a very good race. I have no excuse. I couldn't beat him under the circumstances, and he just outkicked me in that final 70 or 80 yards, and that was all there was to it.
Well, that's interesting. He said that when he was on the last back straight, he looked over his shoulder and he saw Bannister behind him, and he knew it was curtains, so he knew that he was going to lose at that point, obviously because Bannister had the reputation of being a fast finisher. The commentator, obviously I listened to the race before, did actually say that Bannister was clocked at 53.8 on his final 440 for a previous race. He didn't say which race that was. It definitely wasn't his mile world record, but obviously 53.8 for 440, that would be like what, 53 dead for 400 meter, which obviously in modern racing is fast, albeit obviously off a slower pace. But you know, take into consideration they're running on cinders, they're running with spikes, etc., and I don't know, I think you can knock a good few seconds off off those times, and in today's, with all of today's equipment, they would probably be like sort of 350 milers, or who knows. But I mean, with Bannister, of course, as I said, he was like just a part-time athlete, and with full dedicated, modern training techniques, who knows how much faster he could have been. But I noticed he coughed there when he was in the interview. Somebody in the comments said that's not unusual for athletes who have pushed themselves absolutely to the limits, which it's quite clear that Bannister was capable of pushing himself to that limit, of pain. And it's not unusual for runners to, while the lungs are recovering from the incredible amount of usage, having to convert air into oxygen and get it into the bloodstream, that the lung can respond like that. And I mean, I've run myself, and I've run to exhaustion too, so yeah, I remember coughing after those runs. Okay, well, let me know what you thought of that, and whether you want to see some more classic old races, which really lead up to the Cohen-Ovet era. So I'll leave that with you, and I will look forward to reading your comments. Bye for now.